Healing minds, inspiring voices, living truth, making choices. This is your space. Just be you, authentically peculiar with Marcia. Welcome to a space where healing is real, where your voice matters and your truth is enough. With authentically peculiar. Season 5, the year of expansion, healing deeper, living louder, stepping fully into who you are. Authentically peculiar with Marcia.
Back to Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. I would love to say I'm not going to introduce this person, but I'm going to introduce her officially. But this is my girl, y'all. This is my dog. This is my ace, man. Like, when we connected, we truly connected. It's been real, it's been authentic, it's been supportive, it's been nurturing, and it's been caring. And I ain't gonna shout too many accolades because she hates it, hates it. But I just have to always tell her when I'm around her how much I really, really do appreciate her authenticity in my life. So without further ado, today I want to welcome my guest, Sandtrice Russell, who is passionate about helping people move from awareness to action and in their personal lives and relationships and emotional wellness. She is a licensed professional counselor, the owner of Unique Destiny Counseling and Consulting with more than 20 years in the helping profession and over 18 years of clinical experience. She's dedicated to a career to empowering individuals and couples to create meaningful change in their lives, not just topical changes, but in-depth changes. As a graduate of the University of West Georgia with a bachelor's in science and Troy University. Yeah, I went all the way back. I went all the way back. Master's of Science in Clinical Mental Health Counseling. Centrise has made her voice strong in advocacy. She has made her model of reality therapy a focal point in all that she does. And she invites people to be self aware and fucked up, to be their natural self, to be their loving self. And she is an advocate and a voice for the LGBTQI plus community. She is an ally, but she also lives a life with my girl Jade. I love it. They are married. They have Riley. And
Oh,
if you follow her on social media, you'll see Riley all over the place because Riley be getting with her. Riley be getting with her. He don't even care anymore. But today we're going to be talking about mindset over circumstances and how as therapists, we help you move from just focusing on the circumstances to changing your mindset. So I know I said a lot, Centrise. Thank you so much for again being a voice on Authentically Peculiar with Marcia.
thank you for having me yet again. Always a pleasure to come in. I was like, this, where does girl get this bio from? Because Lord knows you done went all the way back.
I took it
So
all the way back.
you did, and
Mhm.
I'm here for it, but not really, because you know how I feel about that. But it's
I
all
know.
good.
And it is, and the thing is that I wanted people who may have never seen the podcast before to be
Hmm.
introduced to you and to
Gotcha.
understand where you're coming from, and so and to give you your due honor because
I got you.
you're changing the counseling world moment by moment, second by second, by empowering women. So let's jump into this
Okay.
conversation: mindset over circumstances. What does that mean to you?
Hmm. So we just diving in. Let's
Just,
get
we're
into
gonna
it
go
then.
straight in.
So mindset over circumstances. Like for me, I think it's really just about how we approach life. Like we can
Mm-hmm.
look at everything in front of us. We can look at all the obstacles that come against us, but really, truly, it all starts here. It's about how we
Yeah.
think about situations and how we
Mm-hmm.
change our actions. Like, reality therapy, you mentioned it earlier, like it's really about doing something different if what you're doing is not working. And if your mindset is stuck in antiquated ways of thinking, if it keeps you in a place where you aren't able to grow and all you can see is the limitations of your circumstances instead of the
Mm-hmm.
possibilities of what you could do if you made a choice to change your mind, that is
Yeah.
what it really resonates with me, because I come from very unique circumstances, and
Mm-hmm.
I had
Mm-hmm.
to change my mindset at a very young age in order for me
Mm-hmm.
to really be able to break out of my environmental limitations.
Yeah.
And to me, changing that mindset, not being limited by circumstances of growing up in poverty, growing up in a non-parental kind of guardianship home, like those things
Mm-hmm.
could have kept me stuck, but I had to change my mindset, and that's what has helped me grow. So that's what it personally means to me.
That's so powerful because so many people get stuck. They get trapped in that mindset of, I can't be more than this. I can't be more than being impoverished. I can't be more than being raised in a single parent, or in your situation, limited parenting roles. Uh, and they get stuck in that and they stay in that hurt. How does reality therapy really help them approach, yo, you don't have to be stuck, and changing that mindset?
Yeah. So if we go back to theory of counseling
Mm-hmm.
when as it relates to reality therapy, founded by Dr. William Glasser, he really spoke to kind of making sure our needs are met. So the core of it
Mm.
is ask you, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What is going on right now? What is the problem? What is the circumstance? What is happening? You know, and then the second question is it working?
Mm.
If what you're doing is not working, like the reality is that something has to change. So once we assess what are you doing, we assess if it's working. The third question is, what are you going to do to change it? So we all have
Oof.
that power locked in us. And that's what resonates to me about reality therapy. There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different CBT
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
therapies and solution focus. There's so many out there, but what drew me to reality therapy is because I'm a real person. This is
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
authentically
yeah.
peculiar, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
so real and raw to the core of who I am as a person. To me, it doesn't make sense to keep doing the same thing over and over. We know that's the definition of insanity. And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, being a clinician, going through school and learning about this theory, I was like, that's it. That's to me, because so
Yeah.
many people are stuck in, CBT, change your thoughts, change how you feel, change how you act. Like
Right.
we know that, right? But at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, when it comes to those core questions of what are you actually doing? Is it working?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, what the hell are you gonna do to change it? And that's
And
where I come
that's
in,
the reality. It's the
right.
reality, because as you were defining reality therapy in the three questions, I kept saying, this is for all the people who keep saying, that's just who I am. It is what it is.
Mm,
They need to get used to who I am, and just deal with it. Yo, is that actually working for you?
right.
That's the real reality. Cause your ass insane. If you think you're gonna keep doing the same stuff over and over and over again, and expect a different result.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that reality therapy is you. It is you. It's just you to the bottom. And so when you think about it from that perspective, when people get stuck in their own minds,
Mm,
as a therapist, and you ask those three questions, what are some of the common responses from people when you say, yo, you're stuck in this?
yeah. Usually it's uncomfortable for them to hear.
Mm,
But I'm just as raw in therapy as I am in real life. And so
mm-hmm,
when I ask you that question, it's gonna make you question your very existence, because it's gonna be like, did she just read me? Like, did she? But after that moment, it's that quietness of like, maybe
mm-hmm,
I don't have to be stuck. Maybe I can do something different. So,
mm-hmm,
and then from there, we talk through like, what does that look like? What are you actually capable of doing differently? But usually it's that
mm,
defensive wall, like,
mm-hmm,
okay.
mm-hmm,
And then from there, we're able to really, really dig into like, okay, these are the patterns.
mm-hmm.
What do you want your life to look like outside of
Right.
this? And so it's usually just that taking abackness first, and then the reality of like, okay, I'm paying this lady to talk. Let's fix this shit.
Right, right. And you said something in the beginning, and I know a lot about your childhood because you shared a lot with me. But share with the audience the importance of mindset shifting so that your circumstances aren't the things that's directing you.
Yeah. So I think that, and I'll make it personal. Like for me, I grew up in LaGrange, Georgia. I have a sister that is 13 months older than me. We both grew
Mm-hmm.
up in very similar situations, but we were not raised in the same household. I actually have five siblings, and none of us were raised in the same household. And so,
Okay.
um, you got all of these different people, all in similar circumstances, all turned out very differently. So just to
Mm-hmm.
take it back to me and my sister, we both share the same mother. We both had the limitations. We both were raised
Mm-hmm.
by different people, and we both experienced these challenges, some similar challenges. For
Mm-hmm.
me, my mindset was I don't want this my life to continue to look like this as an adult. I don't want to stay in poverty. I don't want to be wondering, how am I
Mm-hmm.
going to survive, robbing Peter to pay Paul, as they say. I don't want to live my
Right.
life like that. I don't want to be limited by the confounds of LaGrange, Georgia, because
Mm-hmm.
growing up there were two options really, and technically three. It was jail, the military, or college. And then the fourth one,
Mm.
if I add that in, is dead. And
Yeah.
so we both had choices. For me, the choice was college. Didn't really
Mm-hmm.
seem like a feasible choice because who gonna pay for it? So
Mm-hmm.
looking at me, things like the Hope Scholarship, I started to see opportunities. I started to see
Mm-hmm.
ways that I didn't have to be locked into this space. And so I started really going in high school, really studying, really making sure that I was setting myself up to be able to get a scholarship to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
sister, same circumstances, her mindset was she was stuck in this place. My sister also was dealing with a lot of the traumatic things that I wasn't experiencing.
Okay.
But her mindset was education wasn't pumped into her. It wasn't taught to her like, oh, you got to go to school, you got to get good grades. Those are things
Mm-hmm.
that were told to me at a very young age. And not to say that, my aunt never told her some of those things, but we both saw, she saw limited possibilities of what life could look like. And I saw limitless possibilities. I had
Mm-hmm.
mentors in church that had went to college. So it wasn't just this far idea. So
Yeah.
for me, we both had circumstances that sucked. We both had a mom in prison. We both had all of these challenges. But for me, I was looking for a way out, and she was
Mm-hmm.
just in a place
Stuck
of
in it.
accepting being stuck. And again, there are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
various factors that were also going on, but also it's just she didn't have a lot of the mentorship and things that I had. So I think community is a part of shifting
Mm.
mindset as well, but it still goes
Yeah.
back to being a personal choice.
You excuse me, we can make that a meme. Community is a partner in mindset shifting. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
a lot of times people that have gone through and become the strong person in the family and the leader in the family, you're often forced into some situations of isolation as a manner to, protect yourself. But hearing you say, community is the partnership in your mindset shift is powerful to me. Because
Yeah.
thinking about it, so many ways, especially in the African American community, we've gotten a little bit too far away from community. We've gotten into this mindset of just me, I. And I think that that is actually causing us to implode, going
Yeah.
inward and exploding. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I've actually was talking to somebody on an episode of Self-Aware and FL podcast a couple of weeks ago about this same
Mm-hmm.
type of kind of interaction where we have gone from being communities that, you
Mm-hmm.
might get beat by, the neighbor down the street and then get beat when you
Mm-hmm.
get home and both of y'all get beat together. We went from this idea. So I think it's very real because I've seen it
Mm-hmm.
change right before my eyes. I'm a
Yeah.
millennial. I grew up in the 80s and I was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. And so it's shifted so much since the
Mm-hmm.
90s that it's just really
Mm-hmm.
not imagine like I don't know. And again, I don't know if it's cultural. I don't know if it's like just the systems we were growing up in where we didn't have a choice but to have community. Because if you needed some sugar, you could go next door and buy her some from your neighbor. I
Right.
can't go next door and ask my neighbor for anything or whatever. Like I
Nothing.
can ask her to come get
Mm-hmm.
these packages off the porch and we'll do
Mm-hmm.
that for each other. We'll text. But it's just different. I think that um Honestly, I think social media plays a role in that. I think that
I think so
because we
too.
see so much now, back then we didn't live in fear of like being connected to people
Mm,
because now we see everything that's happening all over the world. Whereas before we had our own little pocket of the world that
mhm.
existed. We knew other places, but other than what you saw on the news in the 90s and 80s, like that was it. But we didn't live in that fear of like not
Yeah.
being able to trust people, not being able to trust people with your kids, like no,
Mm-hmm.
nobody,
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's so isolated. I see that a lot with my clients, but I think it's just that fear, that mass fear that's changed how we connect because you don't know what your neighbor gonna do. You don't know what the lady down the street is gonna do. We can't trust people as
Exactly.
much.
And how do you help clients understand the importance of reducing isolation and addressing those fears in order to move out of the circumstantial mindset?
Yeah. It really kind of starts with me. You know me, I'm a dimensions of wellness girl. Like everything I
Mm-hmm.
do from that very first counseling session is about how are you taking care of all of those dimensions, the 8 dimensions of wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those is the social piece. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of clients that are functioning well in all the areas, or maybe they got, one or two, but social seems to be a major one for a lot of people. So I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of people don't feel like they can trust
Mm-hmm.
people. They don't feel like they can connect. And so we've kind of created this space of not being able to connect. So what I usually do is encourage them to
Mm-hmm.
build relationships and I encourage them to really actually go in and identify what are you actually looking for in a
Mm-hmm.
social connection because you might be connecting with people that have no similar interests or people who don't have similar value systems. And so I think it's important to, build social connections the same way that you build a romantic relationship. I think that they
Mm-hmm.
all require the same building blocks of finding common interests, finding
Yes.
those value systems and making sure because what I see a lot of times is people trying to put themselves in social situations and because I encourage them try to do one
Mm-hmm.
thing social each week, try to do this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and what I end up finding out is like a lot of people they go out there and they do it, but then they're not getting that reciprocity. They're finding
Yep.
themselves always being the one reaching out, always being the one to make that
Mm-hmm.
connection, send that text. And so they feel defeated. And so that's why I always start with the values piece, because if you're
Yeah.
aligning with people that don't value friendship or see friendship in the same way that you do, then you're always going to feel like you're coming up short and you're giving energy to
Mm-hmm.
things and people that don't necessarily value you. So it's really about breaking down what is it that you're looking for. And then if
Mm-hmm.
it's not working in those situations, not getting defeated by it, but going and finding other opportunities to connect, whether it's a meetup group, whether it's finding, friends on social
Mm-hmm.
media sites. I know that we have what is it, Bumble BFF that a lot of my clients will sometimes use to,
Okay.
meet local friends. And so it's worked
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of my people to really be able to find someone that has similarities and is also willing to put in the effort to build that community because it is important.
It is, and it's so important to be in reciprocated relationships. If you're doing it all, one of the things that I encourage my clients to do is write down what you're looking for in a friendship
Mhm.
connection and these
Yeah.
social connections. Because one of the things I kind of despise is the word friend now. Because everybody uses it loosely. Oh, that's my friend. And how? Do you know them? Do
Mm.
you know what their characteristics are like? How did they become a friend and you met them yesterday? Friendship to me is equally as important as finding your significant other because
Yeah.
you got to vet that process. I can't call you friend if I don't know you. What is that? It's almost as bad as me saying I despise the word sis. What?
Okay.
Because everybody use it so fluidly
Yeah.
without any like true connection to it. Hey, sis, okay, it's cool.
Mm.
I get it. It's a term of endearment, but what else?
Yeah.
What else is there? And so a lot of people, I think, become very disappointed when they've given people titles and they hadn't
Mm.
vetted them. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts about that?
absolutely. Oh, girl, listen, I could write a book about that. Like, I
Mhm.
feel like so many of my life lessons come from Tyler Perry and the Medea stage play era. Like me and my friend would watch
Mm.
those plays together from like our college years. We had the VHS. And so one of the things that always resonates with me when it comes to friendships and connections is around one of the things Medea said in one of the plays, what you get mixed up or messed up when you give lifetime expectations to seasonal people. And so for
Yes.
me, that is kind of what I had to learn to do. I think that there's so many times that we put these labels on people, we put expectations on people,
Mm-hmm.
and they were never meant to be permanently in our lives. And I've experienced a lot of heartache and heartbreak when it relates to that, because I love deeply as a friend. I care
Mm-hmm.
very deeply as a friend. And so
Mm-hmm.
that is a lesson I had to learn in my 20s of like, everybody is not your friend first and foremost, but everybody may not even be your friend for the rest of your life. They may
Come
have just
on.
come into your life to share something with you or to grow something with you, and then their time is up. And that's okay. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you have to fall out with them. That doesn't mean that, you hate that they ever existed in your life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but there's grief that comes with that too. And so for me,
Yeah.
it's really, I think that it's just so much of it is our own thoughts and our own
Mm-hmm.
placement of expectations on people that they never signed up for. No one, these people aren't signing up saying, hey, best friend, we about to be best friends. We locked out. Me and my best friend never said, hey, we're going to be best friends.
Right.
That never was a
It just
discussion.
happens.
It just happened. And here we are
Mm-hmm.
30 plus years later, and we are still friends. And there was never a contract signed. It was just this person consistently showed up in my life through every season, every
Mm-hmm.
challenge, seeing me at my worst and at my best. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that time is definitely something we have to think about when it comes to building connection. And sometimes it's not about time. I have friends I've met
Right.
even working in my work environment that
Mm-hmm.
have become friends, but it wasn't like, oh, we met on day one and then we became friends. No, you have to
Exactly.
cultivate, you have to water friendships just like you
Mm-hmm.
water romantic relationships. You have to set aside time and because we grown, ain't got time to hang out with everybody all the time. I don't have that
Right.
type of time at the
Mm-hmm.
house. So
Right.
I think that we just have to not place unrealistic expectations on people. And we also
Mhm.
have to be intentional about cultivating the friendships that we do have, because they still have to be watered, just like romantic
Yeah.
relationships.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that came out of what you were saying first, I'm gonna steal another line. You've got to water these relationships to get them where you want them to grow and be, and recognizing if they're perennials or
Mm,
annuals, recognizing if they're seasonal or if they're lifetime. But one of the things that jumped off in my head was all of this boils down to belonging.
mm,
Oftentimes, especially when you go through a childhood and you don't feel like you're connected to anyone or whatever, as an adult, you fight hard to try to make connections. And sometimes you can in my opinion, overzealous about these
mm.
connections. And that's when all these titles come into place. But like you said, when you have best friends, they just show up.
Yep.
And they're not looking for a title. They're not looking for all of these things. It just happens and it molds into this place. But if you automatically meet somebody and give them that title, I think you're setting yourself up for disappointment. That's just my thought. You're
Right.
setting yourself up for disappointment, and then you're going to be mad at yourself and
Exactly.
at them, cussing
Right.
them out because you didn't even tell them what a friendship meant for you. How do we
Listen.
change that mindset? How do we get people to really understand that they get to redirect how they think about things? Because a lot of people, a lot of times I would hear growing up, the devil made me do it. The devil had my mind and I did what the devil told me to do in my mind. How do we help people to understand that you really have more control over your mindset than anything else?
Yeah. It really boils down to the fact that we are in control of our
Yeah.
mind. Like we
Mm-hmm.
we can't place it on somebody or it's something that's out there. A lot of us like to say God, the devil, whatever the reference
Mm-hmm.
point
Mm-hmm.
is, but we have to understand that we get to choose how we look at life. We
Yeah.
even if
Yeah.
you for somebody like me who has anxious and intrusive thoughts, I still get to choose how I react to things. I get to choose how I think through things. And so it
Mm-hmm.
really is all about one, recognizing that it is a choice, and
Mm-hmm.
then figuring out, what do you actually want to choose? Are
Right.
you
Oh, that's
wanting
good.
life to look a certain type of way? What is your, even if it's a vision board of what you want things to look like, it's really
Mm-hmm.
about choosing, to give yourself grace as you navigate that, to be compassionate towards yourself, to not criticize yourself, because I think that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we get into those thought cycles, especially if you deal with anxiety, where it's like, I don't have control. I can't make these choices. So it's really about one, recognizing that you have control, then choosing what it is that you want to change. Like, the power is up here. It's really just,
Mm-hmm.
for some people, you may be able to do it without, like having to physically write down changes. I always recommend
Right.
that. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
for some people, you are going to have to just write down, take it biblical, write the vision, make it plain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then start to mold your life after that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that I want to do, I write it down, whether it's a
Yeah.
to-do list like that. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
a simple, like, it's simple things, but it's really about starting and really making that choice to move forward, and also understanding that things are not going to always go perfectly. There are going to
Mm-mm.
be moments where you may find yourself falling back into old mindset patterns. You may find
Mm-hmm.
yourself, what is it, Albert Ellis, like, stinking thinking. You might find yourself
Mm-hmm.
going back into that. But the key is to come back to that place of groundedness, and then realize, I control this, and then make a different choice. So it's really all about
Absolutely.
just going back through the cycle of pulling yourself back even when you stray, because our circumstances can always change, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really about how we control the day-to-day of how we navigate through life.
Right. And the thing about it is what that said to me was, you have to choose to be self-aware when you go
Mm,
into stinking thinking, because no one is telling you that thoughts, intrusive thoughts, negative thoughts won't try to come up. What we're saying to you is, you got to be aware of when
mm,
those thoughts come up, and what you have to do to shut down that mindset, to shut down that idea of stinking thinking. I
yeah.
love the stinking thinking and Albert Ellis, because I like to get people to understand the importance of, you don't have to become that funky thought.
Hmm.
You can
Yeah.
literally do the total opposite of what that is. You don't have to be stuck in that. You don't have to be stuck in, here go my favorite line. You don't have to be stuck in what mama and them said.
Yeah. You
You
don't.
don't have to
Yeah.
be stuck in what situation them said. All of them ain't living your you. You don't have to be
Yeah.
stuck in that. That's thinking. You can go ahead and cancel
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You get
Yeah.
to write your own story. Like, that's the thing.
Mm.
That's, I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
narrative therapy girl, but I
We all
love
use
some of the
narrative therapy
principles.
though.
We do it. We do, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm a CBT girl to the core, because to me, thoughts have
Yeah,
changing
yeah,
my
yeah.
mind has changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing about who I am as a person today that would exist without me changing my mind.
Right,
So
right.
I just, I feel like there's so many chapters that are written for us as kids. And sometimes we fall
Mm-hmm.
into that pattern of, this is the story that I have to be. That's why I love my EMDR journey, because I have been rewriting all kinds of shit at this point, because I couldn't control those chapters, but I have been
Mm-hmm.
able to influence how my story has unfolded since then. And so I'm
Yeah.
constantly writing, scratching this out on this page, coming back to this. Oh, okay, we're gonna do this instead. So, like, that mindset piece, like, I don't know, like, even when we were talking about what do you want to explore for this episode, I was like, okay. And then as I started to think about it, I was like, yeah, this has shaped so much of who I am, that it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love when people start to write themselves in a
Yeah.
different way.
Can we talk a little bit about your EMDR
Mhm.
journey, and the importance of one? I saw a post the other day where a therapist got mad at her client who wanted to explore a different type
Okay.
of therapy, the MD, and I think you posted something like you need to run because she's stupid or something. I can't remember what you posted to that, but it was a post where the therapist got mad that the person was asking about EMDR because she really wanted to be educated and wanted to see if there was a next level for her. And this
Hmm.
therapist in insecurity was like, "I'm giving you the best of yada yada," whatever that bullshit was that she was saying. But I want you to share because I'm not EMDR trained. I know a lot of the concepts of it, but I'm not one to sit
Hmm.
and say, this is what I dabble in. Can you share what that journey's been like for you to assist you in that mindset shifting?
Yeah. So for me, first of all, that therapist clearly was trash because I that
Trash.
would have bothered me
Trash.
so
Get your
bad
ass another
because
career. But
yeah.
anyway.
Right, because my therapist, Alex, was very supportive of me exploring EMDR, and I have had a lot of clients that come and they're like, "I want to try this. Are you familiar with it?" And I'll tell them like, "I think you should definitely do it. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
life changing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely been life changing for me in helping me reframe my whole mindset because that's what it's about. It's like really you're reprogramming your thoughts. So
Mm-hmm.
EMDR, it uses a technique called bilateral stimulation, and with
Mm-hmm.
my therapist, what we use is the tappers. So
Mm-hmm.
we are going back and forth and I'm closed, my eyes are closed and, don't ask me what EMDR stand for because I remember it some days and I don't the others, but it's really about the
Eye
eye movement,
movement, something, yeah.
desensitization
Mm-hmm.
and
All the
whatever. So
desensitization, something. I got the EMD. Yeah.
reprocessing.
Mhm. Reprocessing.
So
That's it.
yeah. So it's really about reprocessing memories. And so for me, I went to process the loss of my dad. And then there's so much trauma from my childhood that also needed to be
Mm-hmm.
processed. And so with the use of bilateral lateral stimulation, I'm going back through these thought processes and the things that have kept me stuck from like grief, fear of
Mm-hmm.
death, things about growing up and being called a bad child and, saying I was a bad influence. And so my adult brain was like, okay, cool. But my child brain was still stuck in those
Mm-hmm.
words that I heard. And so a lot of the changing of the mindset in EMDR is about reprocessing those thoughts and then
Mm-hmm.
changing the core belief that is connected to it. And so really shifting how you think about circumstances, whether it's a death, whether it's a something that was said to you as a child or any type of traumatic experience. And so it's kind of like you scale on a scale of 1 to 7, sometimes 1 to 10, others of like how impactful it feels for you, how true
Mm-hmm.
these new thoughts are feelings feel for you. And so it's just a whole big process to really change and rewire your brain so that
Mm-hmm.
your physiological response is also not as strong. The goal is to get to
Yeah.
a 0.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time I would start at like an 8 or a 9. And, it would take weeks for me to kind of get through certain parts of it
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, if I'm doing this, I'm not trying to do this more than once. Like I want to get it all, get it
Get
all
it, get
out.
it all through because I want that healing.
out.
I want to
Yeah.
reclaim. That's the way I
Yeah.
look at it, is reclaiming my true identity, reclaiming my authenticity. When you go through layers and layers of layers of reducing traumatic experiences in your
Mm,
life, you got to bump into your authentic self. But you
yeah.
got to choose it. It's a choice thing, and I love it. I mean, every time you post about your therapy sessions, I love it because so many people can really gravitate towards. So if my therapist is in therapy, and then they're
Mm,
coming back and helping me, then I'm on the right track. So I'm gonna say this: therapists need to have a therapist.
period.
Even if for nothing else, all the stuff that we consume, we need to find a way to get it out of our body. So we need to be talking because not only that, we still going through our own life shit
Hmm. Absolutely.
and you got to release it. And I don't even know why therapists get offended when people ask them, "Do you have a therapist?" I got a therapist.
I don't know why they would get offended to begin with. Like no one's ever asked me that, by the way. But I feel like I feel like it should be a requirement to be a therapist, to be
Hmm.
in therapy.
I think so. I think it should be a requirement. Most people, I mean, they wouldn't have a way to really police it, but I think
Mm,
that for yourself as a therapist, as a human, you don't want to hold on to that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to hold on to that stuff. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that journey with EMDR. So what would you say to someone who are currently in situations that they need to do a mindset shifting and they are operating in fear of letting go of what they're used to?
Mm. Well, we're going to take it back to those 3 core questions. We're going to figure out, like, clearly what you're doing is not working. So what
Mm-hmm.
needs to change in order for it to be able to work? Because, like, you can live in fear of the possibility of change, or you can stay stuck in fear. Like, which choice do you want? Do you want to be stuck in this hell of a place that you are?
Listen.
Like, is this better than actually possibly going through this change to get to a better future state? And so I would really just
Mm-hmm.
kind of dig into the core of that. Like, what is it that you're actually afraid of if you're not happy in the situation that you're currently in, and just kind of challenging
Yeah.
it from there and breaking down. I love doing like deconstructing of negative thoughts, through that Socratic
Yeah.
questions method of really just like, the evidence says that if you stay in this situation, it's going to be worse than the fear of the unknown. So just kind
Exactly.
of working through reprocessing the fear, and then being like, look, shit or get off the pot, because I'm not
Yeah.
gonna sit here.
It's real simple. It's real simple. Shit or get off the pot.
Shit or
Yes,
get off the
absolutely.
pot, because
It's real
why would
simple. It's
exactly?
you either want change or you don't. It's just real simple. If you want change, come on, let's get to work. If you don't want change, then what are we doing? How do you get to
Yeah.
that point of change? So I got about 4 rapid fire questions that I want to ask you.
Ooh, let me see. Let me see.
You
All
ready?
right.
You ready to go and get that
Yeah, let's
stretch
go.
in?
Let's
That
go.
kind of thing. All right. So your life changes when you what?
Go to therapy.
Go to therapy. So I love that. I'm all thing therapy. What's one mindset myth that you wish people would stop believing, especially about therapy?
That therapists are supposed to fix you.
Whew, that's a whole podcast by itself. I I often say my name not Jesus or Jesus.
Mm-mm,
That's not my job.
not at
That's
all.
not my job. We not here to fix. We not well, what? No.
Mm-mm.
We'll have to do that on another podcast. So what is one habit that strengthens mental resilience?
Mm. I think that creating to-do lists and being consistent with completing them
Oh
strengthens it, because
yeah.
because it shows
Yeah,
you that
that's
you
good.
can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then going back and looking at, oh, I did do this. I did do that.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So what's one circumstance people often use as an excuse to stay stuck?
Trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
Childhood trauma specifically, but
Mm-hmm.
trauma. Just, I think
Mm-hmm.
people get stuck in that. They feel like this is an excuse for me to just be as I am.
I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true. I like that. Last one. What's one book quote, and I know I'm catching you off guard, or lesson that influenced your mindset?
Hmm. It is honestly from, I think it's The Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama. Comparison is the thief
Oh,
of joy.
yeah. That's why you like her. That's why you like her. Yes. I love that. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I tell that to clients so frequently. Why are you comparing yourself to someone else and you don't even know how they live?
Hmm.
You just see whatever they're showing you. You don't see the actual truth. I love that. So here's my last question before we get into unique destiny and self-aware and fucked up podcast. Yeah, because we're gonna talk
Okay.
about it because
Oh my
I need
God.
folks to go out there and get the book. I'm just saying, I'm put it out there. I hope you got a copy so you can show it in front of you. If not, I'm gonna put one up. But when you think about the title, Authentically Peculiar, how do you resonate with that?
Yeah. For me, it is really just about being true to who you are. It's really about knowing yourself. It's really about digging into the core value systems that you possess. For me, I feel like authenticity is really important. It's just important for me to always be real, regardless of the circumstances. Especially
Yeah.
being a professional who sometimes has to mask in work environments. I still want to even show up in those spaces as my authentic self, because what you see is always going to be what you get when it comes to me. Um, I shoot straight from the hip. I'm real deal, like raw. And that's one of the things that I think that is a struggle for some people. But for me, after living and being on this earth for 43 years, I don't have a choice but to be real. It's just no longer an option for me to be anything other than that. So unapologetically me, that's where I'm at. That was my word for the year a couple of years ago, but it's really just about you see what you see is what you get. And I'm
Yeah,
cool
I
with it.
love that. And I'm cool with it. Because, I mean, even when we have the code switch in the corporate America where we change our verbiage just a little bit, you still going to get it raw and straight the way that it is. And I love that. So let's switch gears for a few moments. I want you to talk to me about, or talk to the audience about unique destiny counseling. Tell us about your practice.
All right. So, Unique Destiny Counseling, since you're gonna make me talk about this, is a counseling practice. It is 100% virtual currently, and I primarily work with people within the LGBTQIA plus community, as well as Black women. That's the areas that I specialize in, mostly anxiety and depression, or what I treat, as well as trauma. And helping people that are within the LGBTQIA plus community navigate through some of the unique circumstances that we experience. And so under the Unique Destiny umbrella, of course, there is the Minding My Own Mental Health Journal. There is the Self-Aware and Fucked Up Journal. There's the Until I Find a Therapist Journal that I don't necessarily promote, but it's out there on Amazon and Barnes and Noble's books that are able to purchase. But most of what I
Yes.
do is with the podcast, Software and Effed Up. It's really about changing the face of mental health. The mission statement of my organization is empowerment through education. And so that's why you always hear me sharing my story, because I believe we learn through experience, community, really being able to change the way that people think about therapy and about mental health. Because, being a Black therapist that is also queer, like growing up in the South, like there's just so much about therapy that we didn't have access to it. We were supposed to just pray about it. So it's really about breaking down those walls and really being able to help people and meet people where they are.
Beautiful, beautifully stated. I couldn't have, well, of course it's your vision, so I couldn't have said it better, but it's beautifully stated. I want people to be able to go out and follow you. Definitely follow the podcast, Self-Aware and F with a asterisk sign there. Self-Aware and F up on all your streaming platforms, Amazon, Spotify, I believe. I watch it on YouTube. It's everywhere. What is your social media handle so that everybody can go and follow you, and tell me some things that's coming up for you soon?
Okay. So it's at Tree the LPC. So just at Sandtrice the LPC. It's everything under there. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everything is under that particular handle. What do I have coming up? Not much. I'm really not
Okay.
doing too much right now. It's just currently right now podcast season, and I do have a couple of other journals that I am working on finalizing, and now I guess you pushing me to do that. So it's a couple of
Let's
journals.
get it.
One for the weed smokers that I want to get high and you know, put out their thoughts, and then the other one is around sexual trauma for Black women, like sexual
Ooh.
assault for childhood sexual victims and adult sexual victims as
Well, go
for
ahead and
sexual
put me
assault.
down because
So
you know everything you got out of order. So go and put me down so I can get my copy, my copies, and have them out there because I do refer my clients to a lot of your journals so that they can begin to start working on some things. I really, really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide this conversation through because normally we be just chitting and chatting, but I wanted to bring it around the therapeutic format some today because I really wanted people to understand you don't have to stay stuck in your mindset. You can literally adopt therapeutic processes, but you need a therapist first. You need to go work with a therapist that can help you through the trauma so that you can begin processing it and understanding that your circumstance is a portion of your life, not the sum total of your life. It's just a portion. So thank you again, Trice, for coming and being with me today. Go out, follow her at Tree the LPC. Go out to Destiny, uniquedestiny.org. Order the books. As soon as it pops up on the screen, it's going to have the mindset journal on there. Grab you a copy, grab everything, grab you some t-shirts, all of that good stuff that's out there on the website because you want to be connected with the right people as you begin to navigate mindset over circumstances. So until the next time on Authentically Peculiar with Marcia, remember in all that you do, remain authentic and accept being peculiar. Take good care.